We are about to board now our connecting flight to Rhodes. The flight will take about 2.5 hours from Bergamo Airport to Rhodes International Airport. Okay, while walking, let me give you a brief history of our destination. Rhodes is one of the islands in the Dodecanese archipelago that spreads along the coast of western Turkey. And these islands are actually closer to Asia Minor than the mainland Greece. Rhodes and other Dodecanese islands have encountered a great deal of invasions and occupations than the rest of Greece because of their strategic and vulnerable position. Following the death of Alexander the Great, Ptolemy I of Egypt ruled the Dodecanese. The islands of Dodecanese prospered during the early Byzantine era, but during the 7th century AD, they were plundered by a string of invaders. By the early 14th century, it was the turn of the Crusaders. The Knights of St. John of Jerusalem became rulers of almost all the Dodecanese. In 1522, the Turks began their rule of the islands until they were ousted by the Italians in 1912. And in 1947, the Dodecanese Islands were formally returned to Greece. And that is the brief history of the Dodecanese Islands. There are more to know about their history, so if you're interested, please consult Mr. Google. Another interesting fact, the Dodecanese Islanders were the first Greeks to become Christians. Of course, this was through the tireless effort of the Apostle Paul, who traveled to the archipelago, and also through the Apostle John, who was exiled to the island of Patmos, where he wrote the book of Revelation. We're now approaching the arrival area. So kung ang flight mo ay galing sa Schengen countries at doon ka nag-check-in, hindi mo na kailangan dumaan ng immigration. So pagdating mo sa arrival area, just pick up your bag at diretso labas na. We took the bus going to the center of Rhodes. It will take about 40 minutes to get there, and we paid €2 and 50 cents compared to taxi, which cost €25. That is the Blue Sky City Beach Hotel. That will be our hotel for the next 6 days. Maganda yung room namin with a balcony facing the beach. We requested that when we were booking the hotel. Dito sa area na to ng island, yung beach ay pebbled, hindi siya sandy. Kung mapapansin nyo, maraming mga sun lounge chairs along the beach. Mahilig kasing magpaaraw ang mga tao dito. Gusto nilang magpatan ng kanilang skin. This area is in front of our hotel. We choose this place because it's not so busy compared to the other side of the island. Though the beach is sandy, but it's also very crowded. Rhodes town is very small and it is easy to explore on foot. That is the impressive town hall of Rhodes, built in 1937 during the Italian period and facing the harbor of Mandraki. And that is the National Theatre, Teatro Puccini, which the Italian built in 1937, located also on the town hall square. Yung mga boat tours going to different islands ay dito nanggagaling sa Mandraki Harbour. So dito ka na rin bibili ng ticket. You can buy it the same day or you can book in advance. That's the two deer statues of Rhodes. The other one is on the other side. Why deer? Simply because deer is a symbol of Rhodes. It was believed that the Colossus, the statue of the Greek sun god Helios, was built on the same location. Standing 33 meters tall and opened in 280 BC, it was considered as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Yan ang itsura ng statue ni Colossus. Pinicturean ko lang yan doon sa isa sa mga boat tour namin. That is the Church of the Annunciation, built in the 1920s during the Italian occupation. Its architectural style is Gothic, and the exterior is rather plain, but Inside is very beautiful. As you can see, the walls are adorned with wonderful colored frescoes of religious images. And look at this chandelier. It's very eye-catching. Yeah, usually when I go to a new place, talagang pinapasok ko yung mga churches nila, basilica or cathedral. Kasi nga ay very impressive yung kanilang mga interiors. Ganito lang ang ginagawa ko pag nagta-travel ako. Ini-enjoy ko talaga ang bawat lugar na pinupuntahan ko at inaalam ko talaga yung history. Dito sa Mandraki Harbour, masarap maglakad dito kasi ay maraming tao at marami kang makikita na nagagandahang mga yate. Yung natatanaw nyo ay ang tatlong windmills ng Mandraki at Fort of St. Nicholas. So pupuntahan natin up close para mas ma-appreciate natin. The Fort of St. Nicholas was built to defend the Mandraki Harbour from attack of any invaders. In ancient times, Mandraki Harbour was a military space. That's why a guard tower was built between 1464 and 1467 on the orders of one of the Grand Masters of the Knights of St. John. After the first siege in 1480, the tower was fortified by adding a bastion around it. The castle was built at the place of an old Byzantine church dedicated to Saint Nicholas. That's why they gave the name Saint Nicholas Fortress. A lighthouse was added at the top of the tower since the 17th century. The windmills of Mandraki are located on the wavebreaker of the Mandraki Harbour. These medieval windmills were used to ground the grain that came from the commercial ships docking in the harbor. It is believed that there were once 13 or 14 windmills, but most of them have disintegrated over time. Sobrang na-exercise ako sa unang araw ko dito sa Rhodes para lang malapitan itong mga windmills nito. Kaya naman, pinicturean ko na sa lahat ng anggulo. Tapos na akong mag-explore sa Mandraki Harbour at naglalakad na ako ngayon para pumunta doon sa Old Town. If you can see from the distance, the wall, that is already the part of the wall surrounding the Old Town. This is the St. Paul's Gate, one of the access to enter the medieval walled city of Rhodes. The city is surrounded by a 4 kilometers wall. It has been on UNESCO World Heritage List since 1988. This medieval walls is very impressive. This is one of the best well-preserved walls in Europe. Pwedeng pumanik dun sa taas ng St. Paul's Gate yung mga tao, and from there you have the view of the Mandraki Harbour. Very strategic ang location kasi mula dito sa wall, kitang-kita mo na kung merong mga dumarating na kalaban. The town of Rhodes has been inhabited for more than 2,400 years. A city was first built here in 408 BC, and when the Crusading Knights Hospitalier, or the Knights of St. John of Jerusalem, conquered Rhodes in 1309, they decided to build their citadel over these ancient remains. Ang Old Town of Rhodes ay napapalibutan ng fortified walls at ang haba nito ay 4 kilometers. At meron siyang 11 gates kung saan pwede kang pumasok doon sa Old Town. Maganda itong naisipan ng mga Knights of St. John ito na magtayo ng citadel dito sa Rhodes. Kasi up to the present time, na-appreciate ng mga taong pumupunta dito. Dahil totoo naman na very impressive ang pagkagawa nila. By the way, I kept mentioning the words Knights of St. John. So ano ba itong Knights of St. John? Usually, the knights were drawn from noble Roman Catholic families, and those who entered the orders of the knights, they swore vows of chastity, obedience, and poverty. At ang tawag sa kanila ay Grand Master. Pwede kang maglakad doon sa kahabaan ng walls starting from the Palace of the Grandmasters. And while walking, pwede kang mag-explore ng mga towers, gates, and artillery firing post. And very safe na maglakad doon kasi ay makapal yung walls. It's 12 meters thick. Kaya lang, nung pumunta kami, it's not open for walking. Papasok na kami sa Old Town and we entered through the Marine Gate with the Twin Towers. Pagpasok mo sa gate, bubungad na kagad sa iyo ang mga tindahan. Maraming coffee shops, restaurants, at mga souvenir shops. Usually mga product ng Greece. Ang Rhodes Old Town is the oldest continuously inhabited medieval town in Europe. We're now walking to the Platea Hippocrates or Hippocrates Square. Others called it Fountain Square. One of the attractions of this square is the classic medieval style fountain. The fountain has a 3 feet high, 12-sided stone basin with ornate panels, and a Gothic center spire rises from the center of the basin. Four wrought iron creatures with bird-like beaks emanate horizontally from midway up the spire, and water flows from their beaks to the basin below. The fountain, along with the grand staircase, is the only remaining evidence of the Castellania, an important building constructed by the Knights Hospitaller in the 14th century. There are plenty of cafes and tavernas in this square, and the main street is a shopper's haven. There are almost everything a tourist can buy. If you want to eat in a restaurant and you want to avoid the crowd, just walk away from the main squares and explore every streets and you will find nice restaurants in almost every corner. There are many historical landmarks in the Old Town and I'm gonna include them in my next video. It is already 7:30 in the evening, but it is still bright. So before we go back to our hotel, we're just gonna explore this ruined building. That's the ruin of the Church of the Virgin of the Burg, located in the Jewish quarter of the Old Town. It was built in 1300 and used by the Knights of St. John Hospitaller. It was heavily damaged during World War II, and only 3 of the church's apses have survived. It was considered to be the most important Catholic church on Rhodes. Okay guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care everyone.